The question is not really about supporting the dialogue or not supporting dialogue. We're at we're at a very difficult position. We're at the crossroads. And I think the first business that should have been considered in order to give us a pathway towards a resolution of the national problem and have a proper perspective about what must be done was to resolve issues of injustice. I remember when we were doing the Serena talks, the first business is how to end the violence and how to deal with the issues of injustice, those who are in court, those who are arrested, those who are charged, to create an enabling environment. Now, the thing that I want to emphasize again and again is that we must begin by addressing the issues of injustices. And even up to yesterday, we were burying people who were killed during the demonstrations. Secondly, there are things which we have said about each other, including in the last elections when we said why we cannot work with Ruto, why Ruto cannot be our president. So it'd be foolhardy for people to be seen to be overly enthusiastic about getting into offices without a fundamental consideration of our different agenda, our different manifestos. And it's making the young people look like, all the political class are just looking for jobs. In fact, one of the problems that the young people have with us as political class is that we're opportunistic. They're the ones who set the agenda. They're the ones who got the cabinet to go. They're the ones who made the finance bill go. But we are the first to look for jobs. That cannot work. Even when Mandela came out of prison, the first business was how to deal with injustice before the Codesa talks would take off. So I have, in every respect, very concerned about peace and security issues. But peace and security without justice cannot work. And I'm afraid the faces that now you're seeing who are adamant about making peace are people when the iron was very hot, you will not see them anywhere. So, and Kenya, we cannot be just about talking about individuals. You raise an issue, somebody talks about your mother. You raise an issue, somebody wants to talk something which is totally irrelevant. Let's address the issues. And the thing that is wrong even around this ongoing process is there's an ethnic ideology and ethnic mobilization, so that as we try to negotiate, people are already mobilizing on the basis of ethnic camps, and that again cannot work. We must deal with the national question, whether we as Kenyans want to live together under one constitution and put the constitution as a pillar, or whether we want to deal with how we share opportunities and jobs. And by the way, if you have a car where the engine you've got an engine knock, engine can't work, even if you give it new tires, it will not work. Kenya is about the engine. It's the engine which has had a knock. So that's where the problem is. And I implore those that are not agreeing with some of the things people are saying and the young people are saying to determine where the problem is. And in my view, we need an intervention in which Ruto as president cannot be the determinant of the resolution. When people are dealing with their appetite, de Klerk was persuaded, but he was not the one who was to determine the next course, the future of South Africa. So Kenya, I am pleading that we give the future to the young people and everybody else. When we're talking about young people, we're not being exclusive, but let them give them a chance and space. They were against taxation, and we have representation. Parliamentarians should have handled the issue of taxation. They fought it. The finance bill went out. They talk about governance. The cabinet went out. So everything, every laurel that we're trying to ride on, it's been as a result of these young people. Now politicians now want to take the center stage. No, it will not work. It will not work. You know, you must bring other stakeholders in center stage. Then we can have a pathway. Is recycling. You know, Raila Odinga said Kindiki should be prosecuted. How does ODM now participate in a government where Kindiki is the minister in charge of the interior? I mean, just one example. How does that work? Yeah, so I think we must look into many things before we can resolve. But you know, if you look at the other new faces, they are coming from constituencies which are determined, their interests which are determined. So you may see a young person there, you think is brought young people, but what type of young person is, that has been brought up? So we're still in the doghouse. We're not resolved anything. That cabinet should have just gone in its entirety. It means that, you know, Ruto is not creative. Out of 50 million Kenyans, must he recycle the same people? And we've got a very good constitution. You don't have to go to parliament. You can get anybody who is qualified amongst the 50 million Kenyans who are of age and have got the qualification. So it is more of the same. First of all, the issue of broad-based government. You can't say you're forming a broad-based government and you already formed part of it. You must put everything on the table and people agree who are the parties, who are the stakeholders, the interests. For example, Gen Z now, you can't exclude them. When the voting is going to be done, they're going to go to parliament. If parliamentarians are going to approve some of the names you've seen, they're not going to allow it. So first of all, it is not broad-based. Broad-based means that the president doesn't appoint without consultations. When we had the Grand Coalition government, we had two appointing authorities, Raila Odinga and Mwai Kibaki, from different categories and formations. So that's one. The best political parties is where people debate, and I think over the years, ODM I think has been self-sustaining because people debate and come with solutions. But you cannot have an entity or a political party where you cannot debate and come out with what is right and what is wrong. Those who think that this will take ODM to the grassroots, as they say in football, that thing will not happen. I think this is a debate, but there's some people who would rather not talk about the issue. They want to talk about individuals, where you eat lunch, who you are last seen with, instead of debating. Constitutional issues are not about where you had your last meal. So that's what we should concentrate on. But just imagine, is this the same Ruto who used to call Raila Mchawi? Have we forgotten? Has he changed his mind? Has he apologized? Have the reason changed why we wanted Raila Odinga to be president as opposed to Ruto? Are we saying that now we're prepared for Ruto to rule us until 2032? Those are issues we must put on the table. I believe that Raila Amolo Odinga is still the person who can change and reform this country. But by acceding to Ruto without preconditions, you may find that a lot of people will think that we have given up and Ruto is president until 2032. Maybe by then he'll want to change the constitution. Like many people in the region have changed the constitution to enable them to be there forever. The statement, nobody is threatening to pull out. We had said, and I was there when that statement was made, that we are not ready to be part of Ruto's government. That was read out. I'm not creating it. Secondly, we said we must have preconditions, and they were spelled out. And those preconditions was not about joining government. It was about creating a structured, a national people's convention that is anchored in the Constitution, and depending on the outcome of those resolutions of the convention, then people will determine whether we're underground coalition government or not. Like when we were with Kibaki in the Grand Coalition, the Constitution had to be amended. Many laws had to be amended. And the sticking point was, can Kibaki sack the Prime Minister? And we put in law, if you read the constitution of the law which is amended during Kofi Annan, was to make sure that Raila as Prime Minister could not be sacked by Kibaki. And Raila could not sack Kibaki. And Raila was appointing ministers. Not Kibaki appointing ministers on his own. But now, we are telling Ruto, you appoint the ministers. And if these ministers have just taken 2 years to go, you will appoint Kana Laguna there, Saras, and within 1 year you'll be gone. So I many other people. So you're giving the power to Ruto totally, and that in my life I found that not acceptable. Not acceptable. And even if I'm being crucified for it, I'm prepared to say it. And say it. I've had a long political life, and I've said things when Kenyatta was alive. I've said things when Moi was alive. I've said things when Kibaki was alive. And I'm not about to be made to feel like I'm just one of the, little schools, to hold some little parts together. I must be part of a great debate which can make change come together.